Hey, it's Lisa with Easy Easy. Today is the 29th of July, 2024, and I'm going to read in the book of Jasher, chapter 70. It has 51 verses. It's not that bad. I hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining me. I hurt my back somehow. It's been bothering me all day. I was hoping I could get it worked out, which I'm going to still try with an exercise for 10 minutes. So if you want to join me, look for that video. But yeah, I've just been procrastinating, I guess, because of the pain and not knowing if I should just hope and wish that it'll go away or work it out. And well, I decided to work it out. Back pains that are debilitating and take your breath away are very frustrating and annoying, or just debilitating causes you not to get things done, and then that aggravates you. It does me anyway. But Ecclesiastes 7:8 is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof. I forgot the rest of it. Beginning thereof, and the patient in spirit instead of the proud in spirit. The other one was Ecclesiastes 7:19. That's be not hasty in thy spirit to be angry, for anger resteth in the bosom of fools. That's Ecclesiastes 7:19. Yep. And then the last one was it is better to be, that's Ecclesiastes 3:5. It is better to be rebuked by the wise man than for a man to hear the song of fools. That's so true. Here's the colloidal silver water page. I do believe in this stuff as well. I was looking into maybe buying one of the machines if I can get some money coming in here. If God's will, Anyway, there's a lot of stuff to be said about that colloidal silver. It costs a lot too, so it would behoove me to buy the machine and then I could sell it. Anyway, I'm going to say a prayer. Dear Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for another day to try to do better, be better. Thank you for those that come to this channel. Please bless them, be with us as we read, and help us understand and guide us in the direction we should go with what we learn. Help us stay strong and positive throughout these times of suffering and struggling. Help us be focused on you. And help us just not be zonked out in any fashion or form. And help us stay awake and alert. In Jesus' name, Yahweh's name, amen. Yahweh. Okay, something that came to mind and I wanted to, I don't remember now, darn it. But I know I do need, probably, I could try. Let's see if I can see this okay. Chapter 70, and in the third year from the birth of Moses, Pharaoh was sitting at a banquet, when Alberneth, the queen, was sitting at his right, and Bethan at his left. And the lad Moses was lying upon her bosom, and Balaam the son of Beor was with his two sons, and all the princesses of the kingdom were sitting at the table in the king's presence. And he had stretched forth his hand upon the king's head, and took the crown from the king's head and placed it on his own head. And when the king and princess saw the work which the boy had done, the king and princess were terrified, and one man to his neighbor expressed astonishment. And the king said unto the princesses who were before him at table, what speak you, and what say you, O ye princesses, in this matter? And what is it to be the judgment against the boy on account of this act? 5. And Balaam the son of Beor, the magician, answered before the king and princesses, and he said, remember now, O my lord and king, the dream which thou didst dream many days since, and that which thy servant interpreted unto thee. Now therefore, this is a child from the Hebrew children, in whom is the Spirit of God. And let not my lord the king imagine that this youngster did this thing without knowledge. 7. For he is a Hebrew boy, and wisdom and understanding are with him, although he is yet a child, and with wisdom has he done this and chosen unto himself the kingdom of Egypt. 8. And for this is the matter of all the Hebrews, to deceive kings and their nobles, to do all these things cunningly, in order to make the kings of the earth and their men terrible. 9. Surely thou knowest that Abraham, their father, and their father acted thus, who deceived the army of Nimrod, king of Babel, and Abimelech, king of Gerar, and that he possessed himself of the land of the children of Heth and all the kingdoms of Canaan, and that he descended into Egypt and said of Sarah his wife, she is my sister, in order to mislead Egypt and her king. We're at 11. His son Isaac also did so when he went to Gerar, and dwelt there, and his strength prevailed over the army of Abimelech, king of the Philistines. He also thought of making the kingdom of the Philistines stumble in saying that Rebekah, his wife, was his sister. Jacob also dealt treacherously with his brother and took from his hand his birthright and his blessing. He went then to Padan Aram, to the house of Laban, his mother's brother, and cunningly obtained from him his daughter, his cattle, and all belonging to him, and fled away and returned to the land of Canaan to his father. 15. His sons sold their brother Joseph, who went down into Egypt and became a slave, and was placed in the prison house for 12 years. 16. Until the former Pharaoh dreamed dreams and withdrew him from the prince's prison house, and magnified him above all the princesses in Egypt on account of his interpreting his dream to him. 17. And when God's counsel a famine throughout the land, he sent for and brought his father and all his brethren and the whole of his father's household, and supported them without price or reward, and bought the Egyptians for slaves. 18. Now therefore, my lord king, behold, this child has risen up in their stead in Egypt, to do according to their deeds, and to trifle with every king, prince, and judge. 19. If it please the king, let us now spill his blood upon the ground, lest he grow up and take away the government from thy hand, and the hope of Egypt perish after he shall have reigned. 20. And Balaam said to the king, let us moreover call for all the judges of Egypt and the wise men thereof, and let us know if the judgment of death is due to this boy, as thou didst say, and then we will slay him. 21. And Pharaoh sent and called for all the wise men of Egypt, and they came before the king, and an angel of the Lord came amongst them, and he was like one of the wise men of Egypt. 22. And the king said to the wise men, surely you have heard what the Hebrew boy who is in the house has done, and thus has Balaam judged in the matter. 23. Now judge you also, and see what is due to the boy for the act he has committed. By taking the crown off his head. I mean, kids do that. I mean, really. Goodness. And the angel, who seemed like one of the wise men of Pharaoh, answered and said as follows, before all the wise men of Egypt, and before the king and the princesses, if it please the king, let the king send for men who shall bring before him an onyx stone and a coal of fire, and place them before the child. And if the child shall stretch forth his hand and take the onyx stone, then shall we know that with wisdom has the youth done all that he has done, and we must slay him. But if he stretch forth his hand upon the coal, then shall we know that it was not with knowledge that he did this thing, and he shall live. 27. And the thing seemed good in the eyes of the king and the princesses, so the king did according to the word of the angel of the Lord. And the king the king ordered the onyx stone and coal to be brought and placed before Moses. 29. And they placed the boy before them, and the lad endeavored to stretch forth his hand to the onyx stone, but the angel of the Lord took his hand and placed it upon the coal, and the coal became extinguished in his hand. And he lifted it up and put it into his mouth, and burned part of his lips and part of his tongue, and he became heavy in mouth and tongue. And when the king and princes saw this, they knew that Moses had not acted with wisdom in taking off the crown from the king's head. So the king and princesses refrained from slaying the child. So Moses remained in Pharaoh's house, growing up, and the Lord was with him. 32. And whilst the boy was in the king's house, he was robed in purple, and he grew amongst the children of the king. 33. And when Moses grew up in the king's house, Bathia, the daughter of Pharaoh, considered him as a son, and all the household of Pharaoh honored him, and all of the men of Egypt was afraid of him. 34. And he fully went forth and came into the land of Goshen, where his brethren the children of Israel were, and Moses saw them daily in shortness of breath and hard labor. And Moses asked them, saying, Wherefore is this labor meted out unto you day by day? And they told him all that had befallen them, and all the injunctions which Pharaoh had put upon them before his birth. 37. And they told him he had taken the king's crown from off his head. And they told him all the counsels which Balaam the son of Beor had counseled against them, and what he had also counseled against him in order to slay him when he had taken the king's crown from off his head. 38. And when Moses heard these things, his anger was kindled against Balaam, and he sought to kill him, and he was in ambush for him day by day. 39. And Balaam was afraid of Moses, and he and his 2 sons rose up and went forth from Egypt, and they fled and delivered their souls and betook themselves to the land of Cush in Cachiamus, king of Cush. Cachiamus. Interesting names. Where was I? Well, darn it. I hate when I look up. It's so, okay, king of Cush. 40. And Moses was in the king's house going out and coming in. The Lord gave him favor in the eyes of Pharaoh, and in the eyes of all his servants, and in the eyes of all the people of Egypt, and they loved Moses accordingly. 41. And the day arrived when Moses went to Goshen to see his brethren, that he saw the children of Israel in their broken and hard labor, and Moses was grieved on their account. 42. And Moses returned to Egypt and came to the house of Pharaoh and came before the king, and Moses bowed down before the king. 43. And Moses said unto Pharaoh, I pray thee, my lord, I have come to seek a small request from thee. Turn not away my face empty. And Pharaoh said unto him, Speak. 44. And Moses said unto Pharaoh, Let there be given unto thy servants the children of Israel who are in Goshen 1 day to rest therein from their labor. 45. And the king answered Moses and said, Behold, I have lifted up thy face in this thing to grant thy request. 46. And Pharaoh ordered a proclamation to be issued throughout Egypt and Goshen, saying, To you, all the children of Israel, thus says the king, For 6 days you shall do your work and labor, but on the 7th day you shall rest, and shall not perform any work, Thus shall you do all the days as the king and Moses the son of Bathiah have commanded. 48. And Moses rejoiced at this thing which the king had granted to him, and all the children of Israel did as Moses ordered them. 49. For this thing was from the Lord of the children of Israel, for the Lord had began to remember the children of Israel, to save them for the sake of their fathers. 50. And the Lord was with Moses, and his fame went throughout Egypt. Last one, 51. And Moses became great in the eyes of all the Egyptians and in the eyes of all the children of Israel, seeking good for his people Israel and speaking words of peace regarding them to the king. That was a good story. Didn't know all that. Anyway, thank you for joining me. That was 15 minutes. I'm glad I didn't get cut off. If I ever do get cut off, it's, an apology. Anyway, I hope you have a good rest of your day. I'm glad I went ahead and got that done instead of procrastinating, and I'll see you tomorrow unless you want to do a workout with me. God bless and goodbye.